Hello and welcome to another Archeryshack Shop Talk. I'm Jeremy.
I'm TJ.
This is Shop Talk 157. We are the week, or actually, 2 weeks before the 4th.
Yeah.
And it's starting to get hot. We had a week of rain in South Carolina this past week, and it's been weird weather. I don't know how it is where y'all are, but it's been unusually colder. Not, I won't say cold, but not as hot. Like normally,
We ain't had the humidity.
normally in May we already hitting 90s. You know what I mean? And it's been like at night still sometimes like right around 60 or something, and low 80s in the day, which is weird. Probably gonna get hammered hot for the late summers. What's gonna happen?
Yep.
Let's see. Bow wise, nothing spectacular sticks out. Locally, it's weird because like all the shoots within an hour here are kind of almost done with. It gets hot, and well, it's just a weird. We were talking about this the other day. A weird vibe or whatever. It gets hot, and they quit having shoots, but the core, you tournament people kind of quit shooting now almost around here to a certain degree, but you core bow hunters, which is 90% of who or more who we deal with, after the 4th is when they get turned up. And then luckily we can like have shoots here. We hadn't really done that lately, but there's nowhere to go. So it's kind of awkward. We got some weird news. Matter of fact, it was as we did our last podcast that popped up on Facebook. The other local shop in town is closing down. Today was their last day. And it's a weird feeling, I guess is the way to put it. Just because it's always not been a rivalry, but there's always been the other guy.
Yep.
And I feel like how do you put it? I guess you could say we have something to measure by. We always have known we, I guess, have better customer service than the other guy by far. Just from people that come in here, mad, come from there, just all kinds of stuff like that. So without going into a bunch of stuff, but anyway, so today was his last day. So I'm curious to see how that changes anything, if it even does. I don't know. It'll just be weird. And then we got another shop that's probably 25, 30 minutes away, and he's getting old and, has quit taking any kind of credit or debit card. And I had popped in to say hey a while back and was kind of whatever by how little stuff was in there. So I don't know what the status of him will be for much longer. But it's just a weird time and place, which gets me into something I think we should talk about. I was talking about this with somebody the other day that orders strings from us. He was talking about, he gave the impression that he might open a shop and make all this money and stuff. And I was kind of like, dude, before you quit your day job, you better think about this thing, because there's a lot more than people understand. And I think it just seems like there's very few big shops. There's definitely very few archery-only shops anymore. And the ones I can think of even remotely close, like there's one, it's not really close at all. It's like 3 or 4 hours away, but they're part of a bigger Ace Hardware, so that's not archery-only by any means. There's a little shop an hour and some change from us, but I think that's a trust fund deal. There's the other big shop 45-ish minutes away. It's a deal where the building's paid for and that sort of deal. And I don't even know, like I can't even think of where there's a big, like what I would consider a big shop. There's that one. I'd like to actually go to this one. I think it's called the Archery Connection, maybe. I want to say it's like at the Georgia-Alabama line.
I think you're right.
And they do RC car stuff and archery, but just to see pictures of the place, it looks huge. I'd love to go see it. And it sounds like that's kind of a neat combo. But anyway, what I was telling this guy is I think you'll start seeing more and more part-time and basement shops, and they've always been there. I mean, it's really how I got going. But to make it with the internet, and even me and the guy with the shop closing were chatting and kind of talked about this with the internet, and it's not anybody's fault really. It's just if I want I can't even think. If I want a book bag right now, I can get on Amazon and probably have it at the latest in 2 days. Sometimes I can have it tomorrow. And like now, if I want something, I want it pretty quick. But a lot of stuff in the archery industry is not pretty quick. You know,
No.
I had a guy this week with Bobby wanting a certain weird colored bow or whatever. You know, basically it was going to take a month plus. And of course, the guy was like, I wanted it like this week. You know, so that hurts us, I guess is the way to say it. But it's not like he's going to go anywhere else unless they've got it in stock and buy that bow. He's going to have to wait. But it's just a weird, I mean, we've talked about it before, but looking back when we first really got rolling with archery before this place, the internet had early stages, but it was no buying and selling and all that on the internet really. And it was,
if you bought and sold, it was, I want a paper.
Yeah, very few people at that time had bow presses and any of that stuff. So that was the thing to do. I remember being a kid, you went to an archery shop, they fixed your stuff or restrung it or whatever. And I think as much as we try to not get stuck in old stuff, and we're still way better than some other places I know, it's just changed so much that I don't know. Basically, I don't know how long it'll be until bow companies finally throw in the towel and just say, we're just going to sell to the public.
Yep.
And, and several already have. We're just going to sell to the public direct, cut the dealer out. They'll make more money. And then the few dealers left, I guess, would try to make money on service work. Or I don't know how that would work. It's a weird model. And I really don't know. Like New Breed.
Yeah.
They
went consumer direct.
For maybe a year, if that. Just trying anything they could do to not go out of business, and it ended up not working out. But I don't know exactly what Elite does. We're not an Elite dealer, but I know from what I understand, you can place a bow order online, but I think they still ship it maybe to the nearest shop.
I think that's only maybe through their custom shop.
Okay,
I'm not 100%. But
I don't know, but I'm curious to see where it goes going forward. There'll always be the service side of it, and there's going to be 85% of people that don't want to even fool with their stuff. They won't just take it and let somebody work on it. That's great. But that, and as a whole, don't keep a shop open. You know what I mean? I had looked up some weird numbers I
just think, with the internet now, most people are wanting to work on their own stuff just because they've had a bad experience at their local shop or a shop. And I had a guy come in the other day. I took my bow to another shop, asked them to set it up, but I don't think they set it up right.
Yeah.
I found y'all on YouTube. I want to see what y'all think.
Yeah.
And I mean, pretty much, I think they had swapped air arrest out or something like that. But for the most part, the bow was, pretty much well tuned, minus, changing. They had a drop away, went to a whisker biscuit, so it changed the knocking point a little bit. But other than that, the bow was fairly good. Just a few minor tweaks, but
we try to not be like shops we hear about. But in their defense, let me just say this: well, hang on, I got an actual number here I can share. From last year, 72% of our 2022 sales happened from August 1st to October 15th. So what is that? 75 days, and that little bitty chunk of the year is when, what was that, 70-something percent?
72%.
72% of sales happen. What happens to shops is you got, let's just say, one guy that mainly handles the archery stuff, but then for 2 months-ish out of the year, you need like 6 people because it gets that crazy, but it's only for that short time. So then one of two things happen. One, you do find 5 or 6 people, and either the customer service goes down a little bit just because it's seasonal people, or the one guy or the 2 guys or whatever just try to handle it, but you get
so far behind.
You get behind, and you just kind of get punchy because it's like we've got 60 bows sitting here to work on, and some guy's wanting to tell us about a damn deer he's seen on TV. We don't care right now. You know what I mean? We need to get to work. And then it strikes people the wrong way and all that stuff. So it's a weird, I can't think of any other industry like this, but
and you know, you can go back and watch our podcast for years now. Well, how long we've been doing it? A little over a year and a half, maybe.
I can't even
remember.
Been a while, yeah.
But most people after deer season, or let's say 80%, or let's just say 50% of people, they break their bow out 2 weeks before season, and something's wrong with it. Well, normally by that time, we're still slammed with people that we're 2 or 3 weeks out. And they get mad at us because we're like, look, you're looking at 3 weeks, and they're like, well, I got to be in the woods and, opening morning. I'm like, it's not going to happen kind of deal. And it's, then you've got some people that as soon as deer season's over with, they're like, okay, I know I'm going to need new strings. I'm going to do some upgrades. I'm just going to go ahead and take it to the shop. I know they're not as busy. They can take their time and go through it. And be proactive on that. That's the biggest thing, is just...
What I feel bad about is people will wait till the last minute, but then be like, well, let me call Jeremy. He'll hook me up. And like any other time of the year, I would do anything I could do. But it's like when we got 40 bows or however many bows it is waiting, I can't just jump somebody ahead of all of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just can't happen. I won't say any names, but me and the guy that I was talking to the other night, he was under the impression that there's a ton of markup in this stuff.
Nope.
And I'll go ahead and tell you there's not. And here's some examples I took just for this podcast. And I'm going to start referring people to these numbers because people bring this up every now and then that think otherwise. But so our situation, not to go into too much detail, luckily I own the land and everything this building's on, so we're not like in a shopping center. If we were, we'd probably be paying double what's going on here. But so we got basically 2 full-time people, not counting me, a part-time guy, and then we got another person or 2 we can pull if we need to. And then you look at the internet, the power, the insurance we got to have in case somebody were to get hurt, water, blah, 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 power, whatever. If you look at all that, here's just some numbers to give an idea. On a weekly basis, this is what it would take to break even on those numbers. On the Bear Legit packages that we sell a lot of, we'd have to sell 6.53 of those just to break even. 3.25 prime bows or 2 fully decked out prime bows. Our string sets, which I'm going to talk about them in a minute, it takes somewhere right at 23 of those from our website to just break even. Every now and then when it's slow, we'll put some of those on eBay, and it would take 51 of those to break even. Black Eagle Outlaws that we sell a lot of, 57 boxes of those in a week to break even. Right at 9 bows a week would have to be restrung to break even. 5.25 Bear Adapt packages would have to be sold. I already told you the 72%. So those are the numbers I wanted to share with this guy I was talking to, but I didn't have him at the time, so I did the research. And we're a small shop. Our inventory right now roughly is we've got $10,000 to $12,000 of Bear bows hanging on the wall. We got about $13,000 of prime bows, and we've got right at a little under $10,000 of other stuff. So the strings, luckily, for whatever reason, I like making strings a long time ago, and we've slowly progressed. We're by no means a big string maker, but the whatever behind it is, hey, we can sell a few strings online to help us in the slow season, and it does help. But like right now, it's been crickets. But and it's starting. I think I see a tick picking up, so I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, we always see that one tick right before the 4th,
Mhm.
and then it'll kind of drop back off,
Yep.
and then around August 1st, it's like, I don't know, you throw a grenade in a handbasket.
So basically, on archery stuff in general, you're looking at a 20 to 40% markup on stuff. Just average. And then we talk about the ATA show. Sometimes you can save 5 to 10% going to the ATA, but for basically 3 of us to go to the ATA show, we're looking at spending $2,000 or a little more. So is that worth it in the end? And we're kind of saying no. Then I just kind of went through what me and this guy were chatting about back and forth randomly. One thing that we didn't talk about and I put on here is nowadays everybody wants to trade.
Yep.
And generally, I hate trading because we don't know what we're getting into. For example, y'all seen me post about 1,000,000 times. We had that Matthews V3X whatever the other week. I took it in because I thought, hey, it's a Matthews. It's only like a year old. That'll be an easy flip. Get rid of it. I basically gave that thing away. And if you look at the numbers afterwards, probably lost money on that whole deal all around just to get it out of here. So everybody wants to trade because of the internet now. Then this particular guy I was talking to said, well, what about 3D shoots? Well, here's the numbers on 3D shoots. If you were to want to buy 20 targets and start a 3D range, you're roughly looking at $6,000. Delta McKenzie several years ago did some research and said, on average, to break even with your cores after that, you need to get 50 cents per shot if you're having like a shoot. All right, so 20 targets, you need to charge $10 to break even, just to break even. So I did some math. If you had a 1 shoot a month, 20 targets, you had 50 shooters at each shoot, which is going to take a while to get to 50, but I just use that number. Basically, in a year, you'll pay for the $6,000 of targets, but that's not counting if you got to pay for somebody to help you and all that sort of thing. So you're not going to get rich in having 3D shoots like this particular guy. And I don't know if he watches this or not. I ain't trying to like go after you if you are. I'm just
throwing out some real world numbers.
Throwing out numbers. Anyway, so if you, I guess what I'm saying is if you want to open a shop and think it's going to be a big money making thing, stop now.
Yeah.
2 places I think of. One, there was a guy up north, and I wish I could remember the name. I could go through my emails and find it. Real nice guy. He shot our strings when we used to do the field staff thing. He got on it briefly, like this has been 7-8 years ago. He emailed me one day and said, man, I have got great news. He said, basically he had for several years been putting money back and done this, that, and the other, and this big shop in town basically said, would you like to buy 50% ownership of our shop and help us run it? And he said he would. So he dumped a chunk. I don't remember the exact number. I want to say $50,000, but whatever it was, quit his job, was gung-ho. And I was watching him on Facebook, up north, indoor range, all the big brands, Matthews, Hoyt, Bowtech, and I'm thinking, this guy's got it going on. Literally like 1 year later, shut down. This was pre-COVID too. Shut down. So then another shop, y'all might remember this better than I do, but remember, what's the guy's name that got busted because he shot too many deer? Chris Brackett or whatever?
Chris Brackett.
All right, I like the guy. I think most people like his persona, whatever. Anyway, the shop he was dealing with, and I can't remember the name of it, it was up north again, same thing, indoor range. I watched him on Facebook, and in my head, I'm like, man, they are doing everything right. He was up there like once every week or two, going live, promoting their business, and I thought, man, they are booming. Shut down. And I thought, my God, how did they shut down? I mean, they had the big brands. This guy's a big personality at the time before all that stuff had happened, and he's promoting them all the time. Gone. When I even look back at Bucks and Bass, we did big numbers, but back then a lot of the Matthews bows at the time, which they didn't cost what they cost now, but we'd mark them all up $100. But even looking at selling 300 and something bows, that ain't but $30,000, and we had like 8 or 10 employees.
Yep.
The numbers just don't add up.
But we wasn't at Bucks and Bass. We also wasn't just the archery only. It was a sporting goods,
Yep.
guns, fishing stuff, a little bit of clothing, a little bit of boots.
Yep.
So something to kind of like.
It was so crazy there. Back to the first thing we talked about, like you could have one person for the archery department for 9 months.
Yep.
And be fine. But at that particular store, and we had so many bows and inventory and stuff, there were seasons where we had 6 and 8 people helping for 2 months because it was so busy. And still, I remember going in occasionally. We had to go in on like Sundays or something and try to catch up. I mean, it was completely buck wild.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know where I'm going with all this, but I just wanted to kind of put it out. People come in here, and they want a wheel and deal, and it's like, dude, we really are not making very much off of this stuff to start with. And we always, if you pay cash, we can do a little better and all this stuff. But I don't think I've had anybody strike me the wrong way in a while. But like, people want to, I'll give you whatever, a $1,200 bow now. I'll give you $800. Well, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like, it's just stupid. So I think the future of archery is going to be a lot of service work, more and more basement style shops, more and more bow companies selling on the internet. And I still don't know how exactly that's going to work in my head, because like you still got to have people to work on them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how you would have an authorized
dealer
service center or whatever if they're not really the one selling it. Because like most shops, if you walked in here and said, I bought a prime bow from their website, but this broke or whatever, either they're going to screw you on the price because they know you can't fix it, or they're going to tell you to get out of there. Like the shop closing down in town, he was pretty bad about if you didn't buy a bow from him, he just wouldn't deal with you at all. You know what I mean? So,
and some, like, it's not so much bow companies, but there's a few crossbow companies out there that a shop, one particular brand, if you need warranty work, you have to take it to a service center.
Yep.
So let's say this one shop deals with that same brand, they're a dealer for it, but they're not a service center. Well, whoever the closest service center is who you got to take it for warranty. So, and some of your cheaper ones, you just send it straight back to the factory. We've called about parts, and they was going to charge us way up there for the parts, and they told us, hey, just tell the customer to send it to us, and we'll do it for free.
Yeah, but if shops basically wasn't a thing, I don't think the bow companies could handle.
They couldn't do warranty work without.
Yeah, it'd be a mess. So I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for archery shops. I just know it seems like they're slowly dropping like flies. You know what I mean? I feel like we've got the backup, whatever of us. We sell bowstrings, and we still have, good many people like that ship in bows that either don't have a shop or don't like their shop or whatever. But man, I don't know. It's a weird deal. We still have some people that'll come in and say, hey, I bought whatever, this side off Amazon, and we got it hanging on the wall for basically the same price. And it's like, that sucks, but, I don't know. It's just a weird industry. There's nothing I can think of that's like it as far as being so, I guess, dead, but then 2 months out of the year being so wild. You know what I mean? Like, I can't think of anything else that's that back and forth. I don't know. But I was talking to a rep this past week, and he was saying a lot of shops are real slow right now, which we're definitely seeing that. We're back to kind of pre-COVID feeling stuff or whatever, I guess you'd say. Because before COVID, it was pretty typical to have a really, 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 really slow month and a half after basically school gets out, until usually about mid-July, late July. It's picking up, but it is something else. But then even, I don't know, I guess it'd be more of a hobby. I was gonna say stuff like fletching arrows and that, but you can't make much money just tinkering. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, and I hate to, I mean, think back of the years where we hardly kept a pre-fletched arrow in the shop.
That used to be the norm.
Yeah.
Was like keep shafts. Even like I ain't gonna put out names, but the older guy up the road, they still do that. And I'm surprised people are okay. Well, I guess they're not, but he keeps just shafts. You say you want these arrows, okay? And I was there that day. I was there. It happened. What color fletching you want? Well, it'll be about 4 or 5 days. We'll have them ready. And it's like on the other end of it, like we basically keep 6 packs of everything now. And yeah, you don't. I mean, if somebody can, we'll definitely do custom stuff. It'll just it'll take a few days, but most 99% of people now just take a box and they walk out of here with it. And you could kind of tell that guy when I was up there that day was like 4 or 5 days. And I wanted to walk out of here now with them, but
most people that do like I said, we used to keep shafts in here. I mean, we might have kept, I don't know, maybe 6 boxes during busy season of fletch shafts at the most, because everybody they wanted wraps, they wanted, match their bow string, whatever. And we did more custom arrow stuff. But now I think people,
just want it now.
Either that and plus fletching arrows. I mean, it's not the hardest thing in the world to do. It is time consuming, number one. Well,
and it's one of them things you look at it, on average, just say for a blazer vane, for us to strip and fletch and all that, it's about $3 an arrow. I've read other shops that we kind of talk to or see about. I mean, they're charging a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But it's like, all right, I think people are kind of almost like $3 an arrow to fix it, or I can just buy a new one for whatever, not much more or whatever it is. But according to the arrow, of course, at Bucks and Bass, we went from selling them in boxes to our most popular arrows, we would just put in these big PVC bins. You could buy 1, you could buy 7. People thought that was great. And I kind of tried it here, but the problem with that is somebody wants to come in and buy 2 arrows or whatever, and like you want to help them, but at the same time we're trying to keep the lights on. So I was like, if we got boxes of 6, nobody complained because they had to buy a box of 6 arrows basically. So we just started rolling that way. But I think that one camera is going to cut off in a minute, but it ain't no big deal. We got the other ones, but
yeah, I mean, people with custom arrows now, and you got the FOC builds and stuff, but most people are buying their shafts and their the attack vane is real popular right now.
Well, let's talk about the. Let me just restart this camera. Hang on. All right, sorry about that. We had somebody wanting some fletch vanes, and it was like, I hate to throw out a wrong number, but for like a 39 pack, it was $20-something. I mean, it was extremely expensive, But then people want to complain because it costs $4 or whatever to refletch an arrow. But I don't know. You still got some people that just don't want to do it. Just like, you get my stuff right, I'm good. But then there's a whole lot more than it used to be of people, just because of the internet, because you can get on YouTube and find out stuff, and you can get on wherever, that have bought presses or know a buddy with a press or whatever, and that's fine, but it's just so different.
It is.
So anyway, that's just a random chat, but the I just thought it I don't know, I guess it brushed me the wrong way that people, or somebody thought we're raking in the money, you know what I mean? It's like, no, we're not. And no, most archery shops are not. It's usually the bigger shops are part of something else.
I tell you what we need to do, since we're talking about this, next time we do a podcast, we need to look up the numbers because we get asked all the time, how much does it cost to do a shop, home shop with the press? And let's break it down and just say, okay, here's the exact number.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and you're not going to sell bows or anything like that, but you're wanting to work on bows.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you'd basically about $1,000 would get you a press, a vise, you basic, get you a little bit of loop, a couple levels, some knock pliers.
I don't think $1,000 would do it anymore as high as everything's getting.
Yeah.
I really don't.
And then, I don't know. It's just a weird industry, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
What took me aside the other year was Pete Shepley had said basically that he was into the cow roping stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that he said if you look at the numbers, even though when you hear about cow roping, it's like, yeah, that's just a small thing, it was like 8 times as big as archery as a whole. And I was like, when he said that, and he'd done all this research talking about it, and I was like, holy crap, that's how small archery actually is. But I don't know. And we got some plans. I hate to say sucks, but like I'd love to do more lessons and classes and all that, but you run into several, when it was just me out here years back, I was just out here every day, just me and me only. I took several kids and we were doing lessons, but then the busy season hit and it royally screwed everything up because they'd come for their lesson. I'd have like several people already here waiting on stuff. It would delay the lesson. The parents would, they wasn't mad, but you could tell like they want to get it going, and I'm trying to apologize. And then I start a lesson, and then people pull up. I'm like, can y'all chill out for 20 minutes? I got this kid. And then, all right, well, you add people, but then you add in a lot of money. So I don't know. That's something I'd still like to kind of get into, but it's just, during the busy season, we barely get all the bows fixed and strung and worked on and blah, 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 blah. But the rest of the year, we can do whatever.
Our biggest thing is like the weather.
Yeah,
you never know. We're hoping to put in an indoor range in the next few years, so that'll kind of hopefully will help out. But it's just...
And even the indoor range, as much as I want one, back to Bucks and Bass, or even when I was talking to Greg or whatever the other month, for maybe 60 days it gets used, and the rest of the year you could basically use it as storage because nobody cares about shooting indoor except for right before hunting season and it's hot and they want to get in the cool building. It was that way at Bucks and Bass.
Yep.
So I don't know. In the South is a little different. I know I've heard of some real big numbers up north, archery shops and this, that, and the other, but I seriously don't know of any archery-only shop anywhere in the Southeast that is big, does archery-only. I don't even know. I'm just trying to think of any of archery-only shops. There's one I can think of in Georgia, but they're fixing to add guns and all this. Mm-hmm. And actually, they wasn't even archery to start with. It was duck stuff and all that.
What about the guy out of Florida?
He's archery only, I think. They got the range and all that. Trying to think.
Skull Hill,
yeah. It was funny. I think his name's Brandon.
I think so.
He popped up on Facebook one day, and I was like, hey, I like their setup because they got like I later met him, but Carolina carports, and made sort of a makeshift indoor 3D 40-yard range or whatever, 50, whatever it is. And I happened to run into him at the ATS show, and we chatted a couple of years ago, and I was like, and he basically told me, do not do that. He said in the summertime, it gets to be like 140 degrees in there, and we can only shoot at night, and even then we got like fans and all going, and I was like, okay, I'm glad I heard that because I was already, my wheels were turning.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I say, I don't even know where I was going with this, but that guy just had me thinking about numbers and all, and I couldn't imagine. I guess if you turn the tables, the guy that's closing down, it was just him, but it's sort of an exchange where we own the building here and all that stuff, and I got people that help, thank God. he didn't have anybody that helps, but I remember him spitting out some numbers a long time ago of his rent, and it was really high, and he was in a small place, you know what I mean? So I couldn't imagine having to pay rent like in a shopping center and try to make everything float and have a couple people helping and all that. I don't know. I really don't. But I think we'll see more and more people doing it themselves.
Yep.
You'll see more and more factory direct stuff. I think the big boys will be the last, like Matthews. They have always been huge on dealer. But even them, remember, they started letting Lancaster sell their tournament bows. So, you know, I don't know. But we'll see more and more online, you know, sale bows, basically.
But Lancaster's got the money to put.
Yeah, Lancaster.
You know, that's
don't play.
That's probably a money thing right there.
And then I don't know, you know, trend wise, I have no clue what the next trends are. I don't even know where to begin. Yeah, I feel like the last era, if you want to call it that, has been slower bows. We've talked about this 100 times. I won't go way into it, but slower bows that maybe feel a little better.
Comfort, feeling bows. I mean,
you know, before that we had speed.
Yep.
And, you know, last couple of years, it's the whole heavy arrow thing, which I ain't heard a whole lot about this year. I think Joel Maxfield's put some of that to rest, thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Archery's such a weird.
Saddles were the big thing last couple years, year and a half.
Yep. I don't know.
The self-filming thing kind of took off, but I mean,
I try to not be so set, you know, because stuff will catch us off guard so quick and bad. Yeah. Oh, something will come out, I'll trash talk it, and then it'll end up being great. I mean, there's so much stuff. Split limb bows. I hated a split limb bow. Now you can't buy a solid limb bow. You know, limb driven rest. Oh, you got a cord going to the limb. What in the world? Well, the whisker biscuit.
I'm about to say the whisker biscuit.
All that single pin sights, everything else. So I don't know where we're going from here, but it has been such a weird ride. And I don't know. As a whole, the local 3D shoot community has shrunk tremendously in the past 6 or 7 years. I mean, it wasn't long ago, from January 1st to basically mid to late August, every weekend we had at least one place within an hour of here we could go shoot on a weekend. Now we're lucky every 3 weeks to have somewhere to go shoot. You know what I mean? I don't know. And it's just the way things have changed as a whole. We'd shoot 30 targets at all these shoots, and we'd stop and eat hot dogs in the middle. Now, I mean, even it's more, let's shoot 20 targets and get the hell out of there. You know what I mean?
Well, me and you was talking about the 3D stuff yesterday, I think. But a lot of local clubs around here are kind of just, okay, 25 yards, pretty much you got and you know who sets the courses up at your local club but you'll either have an in and out or you'll have a big loop. And you're going to have your diehard ASA shooters that follow ASA. Like, I mean, that's what, you know, Total Archery Challenge wasn't even a thing. You know, ASA was the big boys. That's where you went. That's where you watched. But now that Total Archery Challenge has come around, I think a lot of local clubs are going to have to start, hey, we may have to back down to 20 targets, but let's make it safe and longer range targets because, okay, that's the trend we're seeing is the Total Archery Challenge trend on shoots. Literally
like that. It felt like we heard about Total Archery Challenge. That's something that happens out west. 18 months-ish later, oh, there's one coming to Tennessee. Really? What is this? Let's go check it out. And now people that don't even shoot 3D have went to the one in Tennessee 6 hours away from here and spent a weekend and loved it. And that's all they talk about.
Yep.
And it's like, how did this happen? This is sort of a viral thing or whatever. And like, that's a big trend is stuff like that right now.
But I think you're going to see more and more of that style. I mean, until ASA kind of branches out here in the South, we're mainly going to be ASA predominant target.
I don't even feel like there's that many
Not anymore.
ASA people. Used to, basically anybody that was around a bow a decent amount knew that, well, at least what ASA is. Now there's a lot of people that's like, we don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
They know Total Archery Challenge, but ASA do what?
But I think the trend we're going to see is more Total Archery Challenge stuff, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just like everything else. Everything, you've got to change something somewhere to make it more, I don't know, fun, I guess you can say. But, I mean, granted, ASA, it does get boring because you don't get to shoot with your buddies.
Yeah.
But this is also...
I would have never, ever believed that not long ago, if you just said they're going to start a shoot, you're going to shoot out to like 130 yards, you don't even have to keep score.
Yeah.
I would have been like, bullshit.
Yeah.
And
now look.
I can't believe how astounded we were. So, but when Bucks and Bass closed around 08, we still tinkered with archery, but we call it a break. We took a 2-3 year sort of, let's take a breath, and I still tinkered with a few bows in a little shop I had at the time, but we didn't hardly shoot.
Nope.
So we start shooting, and let me think. Well, first of all, we go to a shoot, and nobody's shooting unknown yardage. And this happened in a short time. I mean, 2 or 3 year time period. I went and shot a unknown class and was the only person in it. And I was like, what in the world?
And then we found out about known class.
And we were like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And now it's the norm. And now the total archery thing is sort of the norm. Long yardage known. Don't even keep score. R100 don't really. I mean, you can keep score, but it ain't no big deal.
No.
So I don't know. But anyway.
I just think I can kind of see the total arch, and R100, you may have a 60-yard shot max, but if somebody's got the land, I wouldn't be that's more geared towards kids with the different targets and stuff. So I don't think they'll put them at long range, but I could see somebody trying to R100 at long distance.
Mm-hmm. I think it would get big numbers, but I don't know.
A total archery on steroids.
We if you've made it this far, we've just been talking, but what trends in your area have you seen or stick out to you or whatever? I'd be curious to know, because I don't know what the world to think. I don't know what to think about the future of like archery shops. I don't know what to think about the future of archery in general, like the shoots and and there's always through the years been surges where, okay, everybody's into it and they're going to shoot. And then it's like right now, we don't even hardly have many local places to go shoot anymore. And it'll go back and forth. In 10 years, we might have another 5 places. I don't know, or might not. But anyway, what are y'all seeing? Be curious to know. It's just weird. We'll get off here. And I don't know if we'll have one of these before the 4th or not. If we don't, happy 4th.
Yep.
And one more thing before I get off here, I was telling TJ, it's so weird because YouTube, they kind of choose, and Facebook and everybody else as far as that goes, what to push. Right now, they're not pushing long form videos. Our last podcast got like awful numbers, but some little stupid shorts I've put out got like 50 times what this did. So I don't know if we'll start chopping these up, put out a long one, and then put little pieces out. I don't know what we'll do, but it's so weird. Everything changes like that now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
it does.
Let us know what trends you're seeing in the comments. Good to see y'all.
Yep.
Let us know, like, would you like to see us go live again? Would you like us to keep podcasting? We really hadn't podcasted because it's literally been dead. There's nothing going on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess we could talk about what shirt we're wearing, but so that'll pick up, and we'll get them going good. But
and I'm sure we'll have some more stories as it gets, which I had a good one come in today, but I'll save that one for another podcast.
But anyway, y'all have a good one.
Yep.
Good seeing y'all. Say hey in the comments, and we'll see y'all next time.
See ya.